Good morning, everyone. I'm Allison Ayotte from the Office of Learning Services. It's my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Skye Minkoff. Skye is a second semester senior with a linguistics major and English minor. They have been a peer tutor in the Office of Learning Services for the past 2 years. Last semester, Skye took the initiative to develop and facilitate Hack Your Brain, which you will learn about in this workshop. Skye was aware of specific support for neurodivergent students at another institution and modeled this Skillshare after some of those offerings. Skye's intent was to help advocate for and meet the needs of a population that has been traditionally underserved by higher education. We are grateful for Skye's work on this initiative, and I am going to turn it over to them now.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this presentation. I'm going to share my screen right now. 1 second. So as Allison mentioned, this program is called Hack Your Brain. This presentation that I'm doing about the program is called Empowering Neurodivergent Students Through Peer Skillshare. And again, my name is Skye Minkoff. I'm a second semester senior. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. And a really quick agenda that we're going to go through today. I know it's a short presentation. We're going to go over some terms like what is neurodiversity. I'm going to talk about what is this program, Hack Your Brain. I'm going to talk about what it's not, and then we'll have time for a short Q&A at the end here. Great. So, we talk a lot about, I think you've probably heard the term neurodiversity, and I want to draw a definition from Dr. Nick Walker. Dr. Nick Walker defines neurodiversity as the diversity of human minds, the infinite variation in neurocognitive functioning within our species, which just again emphasizes that neurodiversity is a fact. It just is, just like any other kind of human variation or diversity that we might talk about. Related to that term, obviously, is the term neurodivergent, which specifically refers to the way a person's processing differs from what dominant societal standards consider to be normal and acceptable. And I want to note that this is a very broad term. It can refer to forms of neurodivergence that might be innate, might be acquired, any combination of those things. And it is often a self-identifying or self-selecting term as well. And then kind of going on in a circle here, I want to bring up the term neurotypical. Neurotypical is a descriptor for neurotypes and people who have those neurotypes that seemingly fit within what our society considers to be normal. It distinguishes from those that differ from the society accepted norm without reinforcing the idea that there is a normal or regular acceptable way of being. Similar use to the term cisgender, if you've heard that term used there before as well. And then I want to bring up the term neurodiversity paradigm. This is the principle that differences in neurotypes are natural and normal, and there's no wrong way, right way, unhealthy, healthy, normal, abnormal way to have a brain. And again, just to kind of draw this all together, as much as the idea of a normal brain is not real, the impacts of this in our society and our culture are very real. Just as with other facets of human diversity, our society privileges some neurotypes over others. People who are able to perform neurotypicality are privileged, and those who cannot face exclusion, limitations, punishment, get labeled as things like weird, antisocial, incompetent, lazy, kind of labels like that. Here is a graphic illustrating the different uses of the terms neurodivergent and neurodiverse. These terms are often used incorrectly, interchangeably, or in sort of situations where they're not the appropriate term. And I want to make a quick note about this graphic. It uses some pathologizing terms that some neurodivergent people do not identify with, so I want to make a point about that. So again, this graphic reiterates that the term neurodivergent refers to an individual, whereas the term neurodiversity refers to a group of people where multiple neurotypes or neurocognitive styles are represented. For example, your classroom is neurodiverse. A group of people can be neurodiverse, but an individual is not neurodiverse. Great. We're going to dive into what is Hack Your Brain? What is this program, this initiative? So I describe it as a peer-led academic support Skillshare program designed for neurodivergent students. And I want to highlight a few key points in that description. Peer-led, excuse me. So this means that it was created and led by neurodivergent students to specifically address the needs of neurodivergent students. We focus on academic support, and I use the phrase academic support, academic skills here in contrast to what might be considered social skills or traditional social skills programs. But I want to emphasize this is a very broad definition of skills that students need in college. So again, we focus on academic skills with space to discuss the unique struggles and successes neurodivergent learners face in college. Just to be clear, this is not just time management or how to write an essay, but also skills like self-advocacy, recognizing and recovering from burnout, developing a gentleness with yourself, when you come up against struggles or frustrations, things like that. We're not trying to encourage more masking or conformity, but instead encouraging students to thrive as they are with the brains that they have. And finally, this is a skill share. So we affirm that no one person possesses all of the knowledge and that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to academic skills. We're learning from each other. We're supporting each other as we progress in our each individual academic journeys. Here's a bit of background information. I created this program in the fall of 2024, as Allison mentioned. It is currently hosted by the Office of Learning Services, and we ran 4 sessions last semester on various topics. Some topics included time management, creating a neuro-friendly workspace, mental health and access needs, with future topics planned for this upcoming semester. And again, some of the background of why this program. A lot of the common advice for struggling students, for example, just use a planner, start your projects early, doesn't work for neurodivergent students. There's not an understanding of the broad range of neurocognitive diversity and how those differences impact every function of our lives. And again, Hack Your Brain affirms that neurodivergent people are the authorities on how our own brains work. The situated knowledge of neurodivergent students, again, routinely, systematically devalued, is essential to improving the lives and educational outcomes of other neurodivergent students. So again, this program is about facilitating the crucial exchange of information directly between neurodivergent students about their needs, their challenges, their successes, sharing resources, strategies, that kind of thing. And then I want to dive into real quickly a quick note on the name Hack Your Brain. I consider this name to be pretty playful and taking a lot from within community conversations. This language, like life hacks, the language of life hacks is already being used in community, especially in online spaces, drawing on the ways that neurodivergent people have worked to make their workspaces, living spaces, homes, communities work for them, rather than being, barriers to their happiness and success and thriving lives. It leverages the idea that neurodivergent people are, quote, running on a different operating system, which also comes up in community, than people that fall within dominant societal standards of, again, what we consider to be normal. Um, and it encourages learning more about ourselves and how our own brains work, so that we can use that knowledge to get our brains to do other things or cooperate with us in different ways, um, recruit our brains to work for us in different ways. So what is Hack Your Brain and what is it not? So it is peer-led and driven by the needs and interests of neurodivergent students on campus. It is open to any student who self-identifies as neurodivergent, thinks they might be neurodivergent, or is just beginning to explore the way their brain works. It is a space for neurodivergent students to support each other and build community at Oswego, and it is an optional and self-selected program. Hack Your Brain, however, is not something faculty and staff can require students to attend. Hack Your Brain is not about encouraging students to act or learn in neurotypical ways. Hack Your Brain is not a space that upholds neurotypical norms of what learning or success looks like, and it is not a form of accommodations or a replacement for formal accommodations that students are legally entitled to. I want to touch briefly on some outcomes that we've had from, we can report back on this program again over the past semester. Several students have talked about feeling a sense of community, learning about ourselves and the way that our brains work, which is a lifelong process, and kind of very fruitful in college with these very unique learning and living situations. We've been learning that we are not alone in these experiences. Many students have expressed kind of relief and joy even over knowing that the struggles that they face, the specific struggles that they face, that they're not alone in, and that other students are working through and dealing with similar situations. And again, we use the terminology of adding tools to our toolbox, to acknowledge that we can draw from any number of strategies or resources that we might have at any given moment, and that no one tool is going to be the correct answer all of the time. And you might need to try a few things in order to figure out what the best solution is in that particular moment. And then I have a few quotes from a survey I ran. One student said, quote, "I learned different ways to handle things I struggled with and found a community I previously did not have much access to." Another student says, quote, "Thank you so much for starting this group. It has been lovely to meet with other neurodivergent people to talk about our experiences." I have a little quick, that's the end of my presentation. I have a quick works cited page. And then I have time for a Q&A, and I wanted to put up my email address as well. You're welcome to email me with questions or comments as well. Great. I'm going to hop out of the screen share so I can see everyone. And let's see. All right. We've got 7 minutes left. Are there any questions that folks have or want to kind of bring up?
Hi, I'm Holly with Campus Events and Conference Services. And I just wanted to say thank you for this presentation and sharing. This has been fantastic, and congratulations to you and everyone that's joined the organization and takes part in things. Yeah, I agree with Emily. The work is outstanding. And if there's anything I can ever help you with, if you want to, formally become a student organization registered through student engagement, I can get you connected. Or if you wanted to do events outside of the library, please let me know. I'd be happy to support in any way I can.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Hurley from the math department. What specific strategies and procedures have been shown to be helping out with the neurodivergent students and procedures for understanding better, getting a handle on the academic procedure and career?
Yeah, so that's a pretty big question. And I think I just have to reiterate that every student is unique. Every even moment to moment, different things work for the same person. Um, I think that what I do hear a lot from in community and students who have been coming is a desire for professors to be a little more understanding of struggles. And this is not, I don't know you personally. This is not a personal, anything personal, but just kind of in general, uh, students, yeah, facing different, um, uh, hoping for more, again, I think just more support and patience from professors as they kind of continue to learn about how their own minds and processing happens. College is very, very different from high school in a lot of different ways. Least of all academics in a way. I mean, like living on your own, living in group settings, being exposed to new ideas and new ways of thinking, and being more responsible for things like your academics and communication with professors. I don't think I'm answering your question at all, but I think that it's an ongoing process. And every student is kind of figuring this out on their own. I think maybe a takeaway would be to be open with your students about what you about the flexibility you might have in your curriculum or in your teaching approaches, about how you want to work with them and not work against the way that their brains might work. So being, again, kind of supportive in that way, and starting the conversation with them. Knowing, encouraging them, making it clear to them they can come to you when they are in distress for various reasons about your course, maybe, or about other things in their lives. I hope that was a bit of an answer for you, a bit of a non-answer. But yeah, Dr. Hurtado.
Good morning. Thank you for all of the information. There's a lot I'm going to be taking away from this and digesting across the next couple of days and weeks. So I was wondering, though, this is not an area of my expertise. This is not an area that I have a ton of familiarity with in terms of how to make it function in a classroom. And the first thing that comes to my mind is first, do no harm. So I was wondering if it's possible as like a next step, if there's anywhere that I could get flyers or a list of resources. My brain works with like the physical, tangible thing you've seen. If there's something like that that we'd be able to give out to students on the first day, because sometimes students don't even realize that that having these additional resources available to them might help. And it would, just if those are available, because if a student does come to me and they say, I have these particular learning needs, I want to be able to empower them to find resources and also make sure that I am doing no harm in the process as best I can. So are those available? Are they somewhere that like I can find?
That's a great question. I can work on putting something together. I think on campus, off the top of my head, I can say like I can be a resource. I've been working towards being like a mentor towards other neurodivergent students on campus, both through this program and kind of outside the program. So you're welcome to send any student my email address. There's also a really great new student organization, the Diversity Alliance, I think. I think I saw Kyle on this call, and if Kyle could correct me if I got the name wrong. But they have been really working to kind of bring all students who either self-identify as disabled, are disabled by the world that we live in, kind of disability association. Thank you, Kyle. And both as a community support, also advocacy group, also any number of things. Peer-to-peer support. So I highly recommend if a student is coming to you expressing kind of concern broadly, not just maybe in your class, that would be a group that I would recommend kind of pointing them in the direction of. So those are two things on campus that I can think of. Obviously, there's the Office of Accessibility Resources, and I think I saw both Pat and Maddie on the call as well. So if there's, again, specific things within the academic learning environment that accommodation would benefit. And again, I want to kind of say that like what I'm doing is outside of accommodations and is like beyond accommodations, and encouraging students to really lean into like the joy of the way that their brains might work, and the struggles. So I think that answered your question. I can work on something more broadly. There's definitely a lot of things not like kind of the big name associations like in the world are not great. So anything run for and by neurodivergent adults is going to be kind of the go-to.
Okay, thank you. We are at the end of time, but a quick question from Eric.
Just a follow-up on Professor Hurtado's question. For the Disability Association and for your group, is there a website or a place or a listserv or something where students can hear about upcoming events?
For the Disability Association, there is a Discord. Again, I'm going to turn to Kyle because Kyle is the faculty advisor for that student organization. And if people don't know, Kyle is a counselor at the counseling center, who has been an amazing advocate and resource for all disabled students on campus. So shout out to Kyle. There we go. And there's Kyle's email address as well, if you'd like more specific information about that.
Okay, I think we do have to stop. We're a little bit over time, so we can get ready for the next session. Thank you. That was a really good presentation.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Awesome
much.
job, Sky. Thank you so much.